On our broadcast tonight, hitting a nerve, the growing fury over bonuses at taxpayer-owned AIG in Washington and across the country. Who are the guys getting this money? On the job at a time when so many people are out of work, why does this town have the lowest unemployment rate in the country? Fallen star. She's a member of one of the leading families of stage and screen. Tonight, she's in a real life and death drama of her own. We'll have the latest. And acts of kindness, the stories we covered last week, suggested by our viewers. Wait till you see what has happened since. The outpouring of generosity helping those who are making a difference. Nightly News begins now.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams. Brought to you with limited commercial interruption by Fidelity Investments.
Good evening. You may notice we have more time for news in the broadcast tonight. As you might have just heard, it's being presented with limited commercial interruption, and we decided to devote some of that extra time to explain the story behind the outrage that is AIG. It's the insurance conglomerate that we were all told was too big and too important to be allowed to let fail. It's now 80% owned by American taxpayers. $180 billion worth of taxpayer money's been pumped into it. Now we learn they're handing out bonuses. $165 million in bonus money. 73 employees are receiving $1 million or more. Well, tonight we'll take a look at AIG. Who are these employees? Who's making the case that they should get this money? We'll also hear the outrage from the East in Washington all the way across the country. We'll begin our coverage here tonight. NBC's Tom Costello in our Washington newsroom. Tom, good evening.
Brian, good evening to you. New York Attorney General Andrew Cuomo is aggressively pursuing this as a legal matter, demanding records on who has received how much. He says 11 AIG employees have left after receiving their bonuses, which AIG insists it is contractually, legally required to pay out. Tonight, the New York Attorney General says AIG's bonuses have made wealthy employees even wealthier, many in the London trading office that was at the center of the company's near collapse. The top bonus recipient got more than $6.4 million. 22 employees received $2 million or more. 73 employees received at least $1 million. Many of the bonuses agreed to a year ago were designed to retain top talent.
These are people that ought to be fired. They ought to be terminated. Rather than retained, these are the people that caused the problem. Who wants to retain them? And in fact, giving them this money doesn't retain them anyway.
To understand AIG, it helps to know the top players. For nearly 40 years, Hank Greenberg was CEO, retiring in 2005 amid an accounting scandal. Martin Sullivan replaced Greenberg, but was forced out last June as the financial losses mounted. Robert Wollemstad ran the company until he was forced to step down last September. Now, with taxpayers owning 80% of the company, former Allstate CEO Edward Liddy is in charge. He's been called to testify on Capitol Hill tomorrow about the bonuses. But it was Hank Greenberg who built AIG into an insurance powerhouse and then opened a special office in London to insure other banks and their risky loans, so-called swaps, as a way to make quick money.
They thought they could make money by ensuring the fact that people who couldn't afford mortgages would pay the mortgages.
Today, former CEO Hank Greenberg insisted AIG's problems only began after he left office.
We had a very strong risk management department. What happened to it, I don't know.
AIG's credit rating was cut, and when the risky loans collapsed, it didn't have the money to back up its insurance, leaving taxpayers to pick up a $180 billion tab, and now bonuses, which some argue are necessary to hold on to the very people who understand the mess many of them helped create.
In an odd way, we're now shareholders of this company, and we now have to bet that hopefully we can get out of this thing, and we might actually need them.
But Greenberg says no.
I wouldn't pay the bonuses, period. Now they want to be sued, sue us.
In fact, Hank Greenberg is now suing AIG for the fortune he lost when AIG stock collapsed. Since taxpayers own AIG, Hank Greenberg is suing you and me. Brian?
How to figure that one out. Tom Costello starting us off from Washington tonight. Tom, thanks. One U.S. senator actually suggested that AIG executives should either resign or kill themselves. He has since taken back the second part of that quote. While Washington blames AIG, others are blaming Washington for not watching the store. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell has more on this angle from Capitol Hill tonight. Kelly, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. Congress is busy throwing its weight around, taking the nice route with a letter to AIG asking the company to simply cancel the bonuses, and a more aggressive approach, a batch of legislation being written right now to take the money back.
Senator Cornyn's office.
Anger on the line today.
All right, I'll make sure he gets your message.
At congressional offices, aides say the AIG bonus mess dominated calls from their home states. Outrage that reverberated across the Capitol.
It's disgusting. It's disgraceful.
No more bailouts. No more executive bonuses.
AIG needs to step up and do the right thing.
Getting AIG to do the right thing is what Republican Chuck Grassley had in mind, too. But on Iowa radio, his message to AIG executives went to the extreme.
If they'd follow the Japanese example and come before the American people and take that deep bow and say, I'm sorry, and then either do one of two things, resign or go commit suicide.
Grassley later clarified.
I'm not suggesting that anybody in America commit suicide. I just want to bring attention to the fact that we need a culture in the United States that holds corporate executives responsible.
Today, there was an all-out scramble to come up with a fix. A few tactics emerged. First, shame and embarrass AIG employees to simply give the money back.
We can legislate all we want. Unfortunately, we cannot legislate morality. And that is really a shame.
Tactic 2, get the bonus millions back through the power of the IRS.
What's the highest tax that we could impose on those bonuses that is sustainable in court?
The only way that you can get the money back is to tax it back.
Tactic 3, find a legal way to break the contracts that authorize the payouts.
I think the time has come to exercise our ownership rights. We own most of the company. And then say, as owner, no, I'm not paying you the bonus. You didn't perform.
And, Brian, I talked to some members of Congress today who say they, too, should have done more to try to prevent this, to put in tougher restrictions when the bailout plans were being written. Now, there was a bipartisan attempt to limit those bonuses, but it just simply didn't make it through the bill. Brian?
Kelly O'Donnell on Capitol Hill tonight. Kelly, thanks. Of course, the anger and the outrage over these AIG bailouts and bonuses isn't confined to Washington. Ask people about it where you live. That's what we did in places like Libertyville, Illinois, and around the country today. That story from NBC's Kevin Tibbles.
The Liberty Barber Shop, Main Street, Libertyville, Illinois, where there's no shortage of opinion.
It's not right. I work really hard for my money.
In my company, even if I make good decisions, if the company does poorly, I don't get a bonus.
Here, talk of $165 million in executive bonuses at AIG doesn't sound like stimulus.
Back to the grind.
It feels more like a sting in the behind than anything else.
Although some suggest AIG should simply go under.
The government should leave them alone because we're not a socialist country.
AIG's New York headquarters may be a long way from small-town America, but people here are watching. It's their money. The nation's newspapers, those still in business, echo President Obama's outrage. That sentiment reverberates all the way to the Drake Diner in Des Moines, Iowa, Senator Chuck Grassley's backyard.
Just like rubbing it in. They say, hey, take that. You gave us some money, now we go out and party with it. I think this is plain, not dumb, it's just plain stupid.
They just got help. They should just get out. They should just get out.
After they give back the bonus.
And in New York, in the shadow of AIG headquarters,
this is how real America works.
Some suggest it's time for an executive reality check.
They should come down from their high horse and see what it's like to work down the subway or to work in a hole or to get up every morning at 4:30 in the morning and provide for their family.
Back in Libertyville,
I wouldn't cheat a customer out of $1. It's not right.
And in a place where a haircut is still $10, you can take that to the bank. Kevin Tibbles, NBC News, Libertyville, Illinois.
On Wall Street today, stocks resumed their upward climb. The Dow gained just under 179 points. NASDAQ was up 58. S&P gained more than 24. Now to the Pentagon and a disturbing new report on sexual assault in the U.S. military, more widespread than was first thought, but very few cases are reported or prosecuted. That story from NBC's Jim Miklaszewski.
As a 20-year-old in the Army, Angela Peacock was raped by a fellow soldier. She was shocked again when she reported the attack to her male commander.
If you want to stay in the Army, you keep your mouth shut, suck it up and drive on.
Angela did drive on and later deploy to Iraq, but under the lingering trauma of the sexual assault and the horrors of war, she cracked.
I started having panic attacks and like sleepless nights. I was spiraling down pretty fast.
She was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress and discharged from the Army. A Pentagon report on sexual assaults released today shows Angela is not alone. In 2008, there were more than 2,900 sexual assaults in the military, an 8% jump over the previous year. Perhaps more alarming, the number of sexual assaults in the war zones of Iraq and Afghanistan spiked by 26%. Pentagon officials insist they're taking the disturbing trend seriously.
We know one sexual assault's too many in the military, and so we know that that number is high.
Only 11% of sexual assault cases last year went to court-martial, and the Pentagon could not provide the number of convictions. The Pentagon has launched an aggressive campaign to convince the victims to step forward and report sexual assaults. But it's still estimated that only 10% of the attacks ever get reported. Experts claim female victims are too intimidated by the male-dominated military.
They'll find ways of isolating her, punishing her, shutting her up. And, you know, women know this.
Congresswoman Jane Harman calls it a cover-up.
And anyone in the chain of command who covers up the act and says, oh, it's just boys will be boys, which is what has been happening, also should be prosecuted.
Angela Peacock may never be convinced.
When you're in the military, the last people that you want to tell that you just got raped is the military.
Jim Miklaszewski, NBC News, the Pentagon.
The actress Natasha Richardson is part of an acting dynasty. She's married to actor Liam Neeson. She's the daughter of Vanessa Redgrave. She is in the hospital tonight with a head injury suffered in a ski accident in Canada. Our chief science correspondent Robert Bazell reports.
45-year-old actress Natasha Richardson was taking a private lesson yesterday on the beginner's slope at the Mount Tremblant ski resort in Quebec when she fell and hit her head. She seemed fine at first.
It wasn't a hard fall, but we checked everything and she seemed to be all right. She was talking. She didn't show any signs of confusion or any injury. So it's very hard to know what exactly happened.
The ski patrol took her to her hotel on a sled. She had a headache and reportedly an hour later went to the local hospital. From there she was transported to this major medical center in Montreal, where there are conflicting reports about a traumatic brain injury. Brain surgeons say it is not unusual for a seemingly small head injury to get worse with time.
You can have, even from very small falls, injury to the veins around the brain, and those veins subsequently can cause bleeding, and that can compress the brain, and even in extreme circumstances cause severe or permanent brain damage.
Oh, please. You look like you're someone who knows the difference between taupe and caramel.
Richardson, who has been in several films and won a Tony on Broadway, is married to actor Liam Neeson, and the couple has 2 children. She is the daughter of actress Vanessa Redgrave and the granddaughter of actor Sir Michael Redgrave. Neeson reportedly left a set where he is making a film in Toronto to rush to her side. Doctors say that if Richardson is suffering a brain bleed, it could be treatable.
If that is what's going on, untreated, it could cause a lot of trouble. The treatment is fairly simple. A simple surgery can evacuate that blood and restore her to health.
But so far tonight, we have no definite word from the family or the hospital on what happened. Outside doctors emphasize she could have had some other problems, such as a seizure following the fall. So we're awaiting word of her condition. Brian.
And we're hoping for the best. We'll watch it closely. Bob Bazell, thanks as always. When this special edition of Nightly News with limited commercial interruptions continues for this St. Paddy's Day night. At one time, there was a pot of gold on the Emerald Isle, but now, sadly, the economy has hit the skids. And later, our series about Americans giving each other a helping hand in this bad economy. Tonight, we'll show you how the good deeds have multiplied.
NBC Nightly News with Brian.
Brian Williams. Brought to you with limited commercial interruption by Fidelity Investments. Turn here.
To mark St. Paddy's Day, this was a first in Washington. The fountain in front of the White House was turned green for the occasion. For that matter, so was a famous avenue here in New York. Hundreds of thousands of people, Irish and otherwise, celebrated by marching in this city's 248th St. Patrick's Day parade. And there was quite a turnout in Ireland itself, where this day is a national holiday. 500,000 people showed up to tip their hats at St. Pat in Dublin. Until recently, a lot of the green in Ireland was money. That country's economy was booming, the fastest growing economic engine in all of Europe, earning it the nickname the Celtic Tiger. But Ireland, like a lot of us, has fallen on hard times. NBC's Donna Friesen reports tonight from Dublin.
For a time, it seemed the grass really was greener in Ireland. The country was unstoppable. The economy grew by almost 90% in just 10 years, catapulting Ireland from one of Europe's poorest nations to one of its richest. 600 U.S. companies set up shop. Intel, Dell, Google, Microsoft, lured by the highly skilled and educated workforce and generous tax incentives. Construction took off. Like the U.S., house prices shot up.
I think there was a problem that people believed their own rhetoric about the dream. They believed that this could go on forever.
It couldn't. Boom gave way to bust in Ireland with startling speed, leaving families like the Chamberlains wondering what hit them.
And then we're going to have a party tonight, are we?
Last year, they were living the Irish dream. 2 young children, a nice house, a successful business selling solar panels.
It was going well, and I think we're kind of starting to think, oh, what we'll do with money.
But just a few months later, the business failed, and now bills are piling up.
How long can you go kind of without work?
Not much longer. I think it's really short. Like it's a matter of weeks, really.
Unemployment is pushing 10%. Companies are pulling out. Dell moved 1,800 jobs to Poland recently. Property prices, already down by a third, keep dropping.
The ultimate symbol of the Irish boom was to be here, a massive high-rise, the tallest building in Ireland, with million-dollar apartments and a penthouse recording studio for the band U2. You can see nothing's happened. The project has been postponed indefinitely.
Lawyer Morris Lyons has safes stuffed full of foreclosure cases, including ones they call jingle mail.
So this is the key to a house someone has just mailed in and said, I'm walking away, here's the key to my house.
That's exactly it. The number of voluntary possessions within the last 6 months exceeds the number we would have had in 30 years.
Still, many are counting on the luck and humor of the Irish to pull them through. As one man said, it's not a recession, it's a pre-boom. Donna Friesen, NBC News, Dublin.
As we've been reporting, things are bad just about everywhere these days, but as we've also been trying to point out, there are some real bright spots out there, including one we found on the banks of the Monongahela River, Morgantown, West Virginia. It's a place that likes to think of itself as one of the best small cities in the country, and they just might have a point here. Our own Peter Alexander paid a visit.
That's one pole, and the outside then is the other pole.
15 years ago, when an economic downturn moved into Morgantown, West Virginia, Terry Sappington saw the writing on the wall. Then an electrical engineer, she reinvented herself and became a teacher.
I probably should have been a teacher to begin with. So when the opportunity presented itself, I jumped and ran.
With the state's mining industry declining, Don Gallion and several friends shifted careers and started a tech manufacturing company.
We found that you can't sit around and wait on the federal government or the state government to help you. You have to dig in and pull yourself up by your own bootstraps.
Gallion hired more than 40 laid-off mine workers. Today, FCX Systems is growing.
The can-do mountaineer spirit, as the folks here like to call it, has enabled Morgantown to thrive. Shops are open, businesses are even hiring. At 2.7%, the city's unemployment rate is the lowest in the nation.
Carved into the Allegheny foothills, the city is enjoying a streak of good news. Mayor Ron Justice says diversifying Morgantown's economy has been critical to its rebirth.
Having sectors that are all balanced is very important. Education, healthcare, technology, manufacturing, retail, service.
This 500-bed hospital, an international pharmaceuticals company, and West Virginia University are among the largest employers. And this city of 87,000 is expanding with new construction. including the $400 million waterfront redevelopment project, just a few blocks from a downtown lined with locally owned businesses.
If you work together and continue to collaborate on ideas, then we can grow from each other.
Mayor Justice admits it's tough to relate to the rest of the country's woes, but experts offer a warning.
No local economy is an economic island. We all depend on these trading relationships. We're all connected to each other these days.
But for now, Morgantown is an oasis and perhaps a strong economic example for other cities in trouble. Peter Alexander, NBC News, Morgantown.
And far from Morgantown, the shuttle Discovery successfully docked with the International Space Station late today. The crew will now begin a week-long construction mission at the station. They're installing, among other things, the last of the solar panels needed to power the orbiting home. Speaking of space, the folks at Google, who are well on their way to mapping everything in the world, now have a way to track everything orbiting the world, and that includes the space junk that has recently become an issue in the news. Every orbiting icon represents an individual piece, and there are thousands of them. Everything from spent rockets to dead satellites to tools that got away. Look at them all. We didn't really worry about disposables in space for years, but now the Earth's orbit is crowded with debris from large to small, and it's a hazard. A close call caused an alarm on the space station this week and threatened to reroute the space shuttle itself. When Nightly News continues here tonight after a brief break, making a difference. We've all been reporting on all sorts of good deeds you asked us to cover. Tonight, we'll tell you what happened after our reports aired.
NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams. Brought to you with limited commercial interruption by Fidelity Investments. Turn here.
During this bad economic time, they are stories like the one Vicky wrote to us from Missouri. Dave Sinclair, she writes, the owner of auto dealerships in St. Louis, has hired 12 people, not because he needed help, but because so many people are unemployed. It was the right thing to do. He has challenged other companies to do the same. This is just one of many nice things he has done to inspire and help the St. Louis area through the years. And about the story we aired here last week about the diner in Denver where you can pay if you can and you eat free if you need to, we got this. I'm a teacher at St. Christopher School in Tonawanda, New York. Your report about making a difference has affected my students. They are inspired to reach out to others and are doing things in their community. They even wrote to the cafe and a note of thanks and donated money to the cafe. What a great way to show what happens when people choose to make a difference. That cafe in Denver is one of the stops we make tonight as we revisit some of the places we saw and people we met in last week's series of reports. Stories, again, submitted by our viewers. And wait till you see the generosity people have shown these already good causes. Our report from correspondent Roger O'Neill.
Their hands serve food to empty bellies, hand out $2 bills, drive the sick to get healthy.
It gives me a purpose in life.
Their hearts steady slippery paths, guide young minds.
These girls need someone who will listen to them.
Helping not because they have so much, but so many have so little.
Thank you very much.
Good deeds don't need rewards, but good deeds are contagious. The same So All May Eat Cafe in Denver received more than 4,000 emails and $20,000 in donations.
It's incredible. It means that we'll continue to feed people.
It's believed Sir Winston Churchill said, "You make a living by what you get, you make a life by what you give." With so many out of work, giving, not in dollars but in time, is one of the ironic twists of this recession. A flood of volunteers, life building.
Wow, you are really getting good.
Barbara Parton saw the smiles Charlie Olson was bringing with old ice skates. So she dug into her closet and found an old pair, so more can smile.
Everybody has the power to give in any little way. Make life better. Just make the little day a little nicer for somebody.
Strangers are getting on the road with Bob Langley, gas money for driving cancer patients to treatment. Money. A stranger is sending a donation to the Hope Place in Alabama, inspired by the $2 bill pharmacist, who asked employees to send some of their bonus bills to charity. Inspiring stories, uniquely human.
When we see people do beautiful actions, virtuous deeds, it affects us, it moves us, and it makes us want to do the same.
There have been dozens of calls to do what My Sister's Circle is doing in Baltimore. Women paving the way for young girls to a better life, not with money, but commitment. Tough times, you bet, but with helping hands and big hearts, hope. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Washington.
And we want more. Please keep your ideas coming to our website. That's nightly.msnbc.com. We promise to keep reading the stories you submit, and some of them will air on this broadcast. That's our broadcast for this Tuesday night. Thank you for being with us. I'm Brian Williams. We all hope to see you back here tomorrow night. Good night.